Welcome to Crypto News, the Crypto News channel. Today we will talk about a lot of news, including of Elon Musk, who predicts the end of the crisis. The beginning of the bull run is for when. I'm giving you Elon Musk's indication. We're also going to talk about Bitcoin. Mining Bitcoin, there's a lot of information on the subject. I'm also going to talk to you about the Mango market affair. You know, the hacking of more than $100 million. The author of this hack has just been arrested. We will also talk about SBF. I will talk to you about NFT and many other subjects. So stay tuned until the end of this video. And if you are new to the channel, every day the summary of the best crypto news. Let's start with the price of cryptocurrencies. Today we have a Bitcoin at $16,600, minus 1%, and Ether at minus 1%. The market as a whole is down by 1.5%. Watch the video until the end to know about the Musk's prediction. First, let's talk to you about the biggest contracts on the Ethereum network. The biggest gas users on the Ethereum network. And we actually find Uniswap that is in first place. So it is the application the most used on Ethereum. To carry out exchanges, that is why we are talking about the number one exchange. Not too much doubt about that. We show here the ranking of the exchanges. Still in first place, in despite of the many attempts of other exchanges. The tweet in question here with the full ranking. Feel free to write comment if you want to have a detail on this ranking. And now we'll go straight to the news of Elon Musk. This comes to us from All in Postcast. If you don't know, it's really an extremely interesting podcast. With four well-known Silicon Valley personalities, Chamath Palihapitiya, Jason Calacanis, David Sachs, and David Friedberg. So during the last episode of the All in Podcast, they invited Elon Musk. It was a bit of a surprise guest. It happened during the episode. David Sachs was in Twitter headquarters and Elon Musk appeared. He gave a lot of information on Twitter, but what interests me there is the economic aspect. They asked the question, how long will the recession last? How long are we going to stay in a sluggish economic context, and when will it pick up again? I'll let you listen to his answer.
Dawn breaks roughly in Q2 24, if I were to get. That's like my best guess.
We'll say his best answer should be the second quarter of the year 2024, for really a turnaround in the economic situation. And the start of a bull run, if we can say that. I'm extrapolating a little. But that's really what is a recession. That could last a year and a half or so from now. And a recovery in 2024, so that's longer than expected. That's a confirmation of what he said before that is applicable to the crypto economy. Here I think it's interesting to have his point of view. Now let's talk about Bitcoin, and more about Bitcoin mining. Here we see the biggest Bitcoin mining pool, and we find Foundry at 30%, and Pool at 21%. You can see the first two mining pools have more than 50% of the computing power of Bitcoin. And if we add the third F2 pool, we end up with 2/3 of the computing Bitcoin within 3 entities only. After it is true that the various pools are made with several different miners. But this centralization is still a little worrying. It is something that we find in part on the Ethereum network. We can see the centralization also here on the Ethereum network. We have Lido, which has 29%, Coinbase, which has 13%. So the first two do not make 50%. We are more around 42%, so it remains less than more than 50% on Bitcoin. But you still have to worry about all that. On Ethereum, it is better because having 2/3 of the validators on the network requires starting in 7th or 8th place. So here I wanted to zoom in on this, because we often talk of Ethereum, which has become, let's say, centralized. I don't see this type of thing too much, and we can see that in proof of work we also find this aspect of centralization mining pool. And especially with the next Ether update Ethereum in a few months, we should be able to withdraw the Ethers that are stacked on the Ethereum network. Because currently it cannot be done. It should allow greater fluidity of capital between the various validation pools on the Ethereum network. After me, I am not criticizing Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of my favorite crypto, but I also like Ethereum. Now let's talk about Bitcoin mining. With 100% of Bitcoin mined in 2022 by major mining companies which are listed on the stock exchange and which have been sold. In fact, that means that the miners no longer keep their Bitcoin. They are selling them to cover their operating costs and a certain number of things. And that again is something that we do not find at the level of validation on Ethereum, because in fact it costs almost nothing in electricity to be a validator on the Ethereum network. which may also cause selling pressure on Bitcoin. But fortunately, there is the halving every 4 years to reduce the amount of Bitcoin that is generated every 10 minutes. After, well, there are other concerns about what will happen move to 2140, when there will be no Bitcoin mined at all. The hope is that the transaction fees are enough to reward Bitcoin miners. The mining company also that I told you about yesterday who had difficulties, Argo, comes to publish its rescue plan. They will receive almost $100 million from Galaxy Digital, the giant of Novogratz. They will help them to finance a data center for $65 million. They will also lend them $35 million. So it is a good thing, a company that ultimately should avoid bankruptcy. Let's talk about the Mango market. Hack, you know, this completely unbelievable hack. More than $100 million was stolen of finance protocol decentralized on Solana. The hacker, we knew who it was, there was no doubt. It was Avram Heisenberg, or AE. He even confessed on Twitter that he was involved in this hack. He didn't call it a hack. He called a highly profitable trading strategy. It's quite funny, and it's something that we now often find that we wants to talk about hacking on crypto Twitter. We talk about highly profitable strategy and trading. And there he was arrested in Puerto Rico for price manipulation. Precisely because he manipulated the price of a certain number of tokens to carry out this hack to actually steal the money that was deposited on the protocol. He borrowed a lot of money pretending that his collateral was worth much more than what was deposited. There is a whole document that has been revealed that shows how the authorities Americans traced all that. In any case, it was not very complicated. He had confessed, but they validated all that. They went to see the exchanges. They went to see how the hacking was carried out. The tens of millions of dollars necessary hires at the realization of the piracy. They went to see Circle and Exchange where they could see the things that were done with the Eisenberg opinion email address, etc. Well, anyway, everything was proven. So now we will see what he's going to risk. Because it will surely be years in prison. Potentially a fine. We honestly don't know. I'm waiting to see the rest. But it's going up. Here are the hackers who then pretend to be white at nice hackers. By negotiating with the victims and giving them back some, because it's not enough to avoid being imprisoned. We remember he had stolen more than $100 million. He returned about $60 million. He kept more than $40 million. As a result, his highly profitable trading strategy still took him to prison. But he made him earn $40 million, which will surely have to be returned before he gets out of prison. Now let's talk about SBF. With the film which is being prepared on SBF, or rather the book first. We have in fact the New York Post, which reveals to us that Michael Lewis, the author who has been following SBF for several months, and who is also the author of the film The Big Shorts, and has just met again SBF for many hours in the parents' house. We remind you that he is free, rather under house arrest with his parents. The author went to see him to try to better understand SBF. He is very attached to his image. As a result, he granted him a long interview. Michael Lewis is going to release his book in negotiation with several publishing companies. So it's going to happen. And probably, the film should coming soon. Speaking of SBF, we have Alameda Research. We have several wallets associated with Alameda that have started selling a number of tokens for Bitcoin. It seems to be hackers making these sales. Weird things are happening. I told you yesterday Alameda and the Justice is investigating, and well, the hack seems to be still going on. Now let's talk about NFTs. Little news with the pudgy penguins. You know those cute little penguins. They just reached their all-time high in full bear market. The floor price has just crossed a milestone of 7 ETH. So it's an increase of more than 34% in 24 hours. The popularity of pudgy penguins has reportedly been driven by the right combination of a very active founder and a fair number of influencers getting on board, according to Punk9059, the pseudonymous director of research at Proof Collective. Here we have made the rounds of the main news. If you like the content, feel free to like, to comment, and see you in the next video.